Okay, so to the best of my knowledge, I have started recording our session, so I'll be sharing that out with everyone afterwards. If you're interested too, we have some information on how to find the recording when we're finished, and obviously we'll all be sticking around afterwards to help you out if you have any questions for our Q&A session. So to get started, what we're going to do is inside of Canvas, we're going to come down, inside of the Mesa Public Schools homepage, we're going to scroll to the very bottom, and under Academic Resources, we're going to click on the Canvas icon here, and that's going to take us to Canvas. Now, if this is your first time logging in, you're going to just simply use your Active Directory password and your email. So this is mine right here. I'm going to click Login to get signed in. And you'll be greeted first and foremost by your dashboard. So a dashboard is kind of a quick and easy way for you to see the different courses that you're enrolled in, not only as an instructor, but a student. And you can manage those things as well. So we're going to kind of take a look at how to manage that. And once we get logged in, what your dashboard can offer you. So as you can see on my dashboard here, yes.
I don't see your screen changing. I don't know if anyone else can. Sorry to interrupt, but.
No, that's good to know. Are you just seeing, you're not seeing a dashboard at all?
I just still see the MPS homepage.
Oh.
Your screen might be frozen because it's up to date on mine.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you, sir.
Mine's up to date.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, so if we take a look at the Mesa Public Schools Canvas homepage here for myself, this is the super exciting dashboard. You've got a bunch of different tiles for the different classes, not only that you're enrolled in as an instructor, but also as a student. So in order to organize this, there's a couple ways that you can go about that. The first thing you can do is head over to Courses on the left-hand side. And if you click on the Courses icon here, you can see it gives you a list of all the courses that you're enrolled in. And in order to favorite them, to put them on the dashboard, all you need to do is come down here to the very bottom and click on All Courses. And then you'll notice in this section here, you're given a list of all the courses that you're enrolled in. Now, the benefit to getting to this space is you can see on the left-hand side, there's some different stars. Some of them are orange and some of them are empty. If you highlight those items, you can actually choose which Canvas courses will show up on your dashboard. So I'm just going to go ahead and check a couple random ones here. And now with a couple of these stars selected, if I go back to my dashboard, you'll notice before there was a ton of tiles, but now there's just 4 tiles located right here. So it makes it a little bit easier just to kind of have quick access to your Canvas course. Make this smaller real quick. All right, so once we have started messing around with our dashboard, the next thing we're going to do is jump into a sandbox. And inside of the sandbox, we're going to just start taking a look at creating a page, creating an assignment, creating a quiz, and some basic navigation ideas that you might enjoy using inside of Canvas. So to get to my sandbox, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start back at All Courses, because notice in my dashboard here, I don't have my sandbox available. So I'm going to click on Courses, go down to All Courses, and then I'm going to scroll towards the bottom here, and I'm going to find my sandbox. So you can see right here is my sandbox. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Now I'm inside of my Canvas course space. So a couple things about the course space to know. Whenever you log in, this will be the default screen if you don't have any content in there. If you've added some content, it might look a little bit different, and you can kind of get back to the screen that I'm at as if you click the home page here, unless you've already selected a home page yourself, and that'll be there by default. So just a quick tour of the interface. On the right-hand side, you can see the course status is currently unpublished. If you were to go ahead and publish your course to allow students to see it, you would want to go ahead and click this button, and then this section here will turn green. Underneath that, there's a lot of other options that you can use, not only importing information from Commons, which we can talk about in a later meeting, but choosing a home page as well. Last but not least, there's other items down here. A wonderful one is Student View, and some of you might have that, and if you don't, we'll show you another way to get to it. But the Student View is very useful for just kind of testing out what your course space would look like once you share it with your students. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go ahead and create a Canvas page. And then from creating that Canvas page, we're going to move on to putting it inside of a module. So to get started, on the left-hand side, you'll notice all these navigation tools here on the left. to get to a course page, we're going to click on the word pages. Wait for it to load. And then once it loads, all of the pages that you've created will show up in this section. To create a new page, we're going to click up in the top right on this blue icon. I'm going to go ahead and title it. And then underneath, you can add any content or text that you'd like the students to know about. For the sake of our meeting, I'll just include one word. In addition, this is what's called a rich content editor. You've got a lot of exciting tools here as well. You can change the size, you can change the formatting, you can change a lot of other things. In addition, you can also insert items. So this section here is probably the most useful and where you might spend most of your time. You'll notice in this section we've got an ability to link to external and internal parts of the course. You can include images, you can include media like videos, and you can also include documents, not only uploading them from your computer, but you can choose them from different parts of Canvas to put inside of the rich content editor. Now the last piece here on the far right is an apps icon, and you can actually add apps afterwards, or the ones that we have pre-installed on here are Google Apps and Google Drive. You can also see TED is in there as well. So if there's anything you would like to use within that space, all you need to do is click on the icon here. So for the sake of time, I'm just going to go ahead and publish this page. So now that I've got this set up, I've got my content included, I've got my title here at the top. In the bottom right, I've got two options. If I want to just simply save this and come back to it later, I can. Or if I want to save it and make it publishable so that students will be able to see it and interact with it, I can click this button right here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now I've published my page, and I'm going to go back to my All Pages view to see that published page. And you can see that right here. So we've just created our first page in Canvas. And I know that if I did go through that kind of quickly, we'll be around afterwards to answer any questions. But inside of the pages, now what we're going to do is we're going to kind of build into our Canvas course. And the next step after you've kind of created pages is to put those pages somewhere where it's easy for students to find them and organize them in a way that's easy for you, not only to access them, but to kind of have a flow for how you want your students to work through the course. So in order to do that, we're going to jump down into modules, and we're going to go ahead and build a new module. I'm going to click on it and enter the module space. Now within the space, you can see there's a big button here that says create a new module. You can use that. However, after you push that button the first time, the ability to create a module using that button will go away. So my suggestion is to always use the blue module button here in the top. I'm going to click on the module button. I'm going to name my module and hit add module. So now you can see a module has appeared in this kind of gray section here. And I'm going to go ahead and add that page I created earlier to the module by clicking on the plus sign here on the far right hand side. Selecting page from this section here. And actually what's interesting is where it says add, if you notice here it's a drop down box. So you can add a bunch of different files and items into a module. It doesn't just have to be a page. So I'm going to go ahead and add my page. By selecting it, it gives me a list not only of pages that I've created before, like the one we just made, but if I wanted to simply start making a new page right away, I could click on new page and I could even title it here. Once you select this icon here, on the bottom right to add an item, you can see in this section here, page name. I made a new page. It doesn't have any content, however, so what we'll need to do is hit add item. I'm going to go ahead and pause real quick just for a second to get my setup here. If you're just joining us, just make sure that you mute your microphone, because I do believe I forgot to set it so that it mutes everyone on entry. So I apologize for that. But if you just joined us, welcome. So now what we've done is on the left-hand side, we've created a new module. Inside that module, I created a new page. And just like I was mentioning before, if you hit that plus sign, you can actually select that page that we just created and add it as well. So now I've got several pages inside my module. One of the things I want to note once you've put a page inside of your module is that you can actually move them around by clicking this icon here, and you can organize them inside of your module pretty easily. On the right-hand side, you'll notice there's some other publishing pieces here. To publish a module, you want to make sure you push this button to make it green. And you'll notice once you push this button, it actually publishes everything inside of your module. So an important note is if you have items that you don't want the students to see yet, once you publish your module, just uncheck those boxes for the items you may not want students to see. All right, let me check my notes and make sure we're on track here. Page is perfect. Oops. I see some good stuff in chat right now. I resized my box, so I'm gonna have to take a look at chat here in just a second. See if I can pull it up. Oh, perfect, you guys are in there. Such a new service for me, I'm still getting used to it. So we've talked about pages, and hopefully you're starting to feel comfortable about pages and modules. Something else to point out in modules, in the top right, there's these little lines here, and this will actually give you access to more features inside of a module. So if you'd like to remove a module, you can hit delete here. You can actually duplicate modules and share them to a space called Commons, which we can talk about after the course, or we can give you some links to learn more about it. You can also edit in this section here and add prerequisites inside of your module. So if you wanted students to work through items one at a time or work through them in a specific way, or even work through them by getting a certain grade on a quiz, you can set that up in this space so that they won't be able to move on without getting those certain requirements. Last but not least, under our page, you can also see here your page has those very similar things that we saw in our module. So if you need to remove pages or items inside of a module, you can just hit remove and it'll take that right out of your module as well. So now what we're going to do is we got our module, we got our pages, so we're going to actually make a default assignment inside of a module. In order to do that, once again, we're going to come back to the plus sign here in the top right. We're going to come over to where it says add, and we're going to choose assignment from our drop-down list. Now, notice I don't have any assignments, so we're going to make a new assignment. We're going to call this assignment my favorite thing in the world, snacks. And we're going to hit add item. You'll notice my new item appears down here at the bottom, and that the icon is slightly different than these on the left. So these are pages, and you can see an assignment has the little pencil inside of it there. So now that I've created the assignment, what we're going to do is edit the details of the assignment so it's usable by students. If I click on the word snacks, which is the name of the assignment I made, you'll notice I'm inside of the assignment section, and in the top right I can click the pencil to edit. So now that my rich content editor has showed up again, and I'm inside of my snacks assignment, this box here, what I can do is include information that students would need to know about for the assignment. So I might say, make sure to make a great video, or whatever interesting and useful information you want the students to know about. And again, you can use the rich content editor to include pictures and videos. So if that was going to be part of your assignment as well, you could put those in this space up here and students would have access to it. So to get started, as far as the assignment basic kind of outline for getting things going, the very basic things you're going to need is to, of course, include points. You can select them into an assignment group, and an assignment group is essentially a way for you to organize assignments inside of Canvas. It's in another space, but if you don't have that space created, you can just choose assignments by default. Under the display grade, you can choose for points, or you can get different kinds of assignments in here. You can make it for percentage or complete incomplete, which is probably very useful for many of us right now. And then last but not least, under submission type, if you click this drop-down box here, you'll notice a couple things about it. We've got an online submission. You can change it to be an on-paper submission, and the external tool, which is actually very useful. So if you're going to be using Google Docs and things like that, that's where you'll start for those items. For this example, though, we're just going to stick with the basics, and I'm going to choose online. And you'll notice a new box appears where I need to select what kind of online entry I'm going to choose. So for me, I just start off with text entry. However, students are also able to send URLs. So if they built a Google site, they could put it in there. If they had an audio or video recording, they could use it here. And last but not least, if they had a file, like a document they wanted to share, you could check that box there. Something to note, you can actually have more than one of these checked, depending upon the assignment criteria that you've given your students. So if you want to do that as well, just something to know that you can check more than one. Now, last but not least, we'll skip over the grouping right now because that's kind of a bag of worms that we'll have to come back to. You can also assign peer reviews for those assignments by checking this box, and it will give you some other drop-down options in here. And you can assign due dates, which I'm sure is the most important thing that everyone's interested in. So not only can you assign it to everyone in this space, but currently this is my sandbox, so I don't have any students available. But if you started typing a student's name or the section that you were teaching for that specific assignment, it would actually allow you to assign it to only those specific sections. Due date is here on the bottom, so you can simply click the calendar and select a due date. And the times that the assignment will be available from is in here as well. So you can choose available from and available till. Now, if you notice, once we've gone through this giant long list of assignment stuff, at the very, very bottom, there's a spot down here that'll allow us to save and publish, or save just like in our pages. So I'm going to hit save and publish for now. It's going to take us back to the assignment page. And now to get back to where I was before, I'm going to go on the left-hand side and select modules. Now you'll notice my assignment is here, and it is published because I do have the green icon, and it also tells me when it is due and the amount of points that it's available for. Now, one of the benefits to using Canvas is you can really customize and change things how you like. So right now, if you look on the left-hand side, there's all these links and items over here on the left-hand side in my sandbox, which can be kind of confusing. You might often not even use all of these links. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a look at kind of navigating and cleaning that up before we move on to our final part, which is going to be building a quiz. Sarah, give me a head nod. Are the comments going okay? Do we need any? Do I need to go back and cover anything? You're the only one on my
pretty
left.
good.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we're pretty good.
So again, everybody, I will be around after, as well as Rachel and Sarah. So if you have any more questions, please feel free to stick around if I've gone too fast. So the last thing we're going to do here before I move on to quizzes is I'm going to organize this left-hand navigation panel. To do that, I'm going to scroll to the very bottom and go to the settings icon here at the bottom. When I click on the settings icon, it'll take me to a new page. And in that new page, at the very top, you'll notice a navigation section. I'm going to select the navigation section, and you'll see it's a mirrored list of all the links over here on the left in a kind of a nice little drag and drop section here. So to get started, what I want to show you is towards the bottom, there's this section of text that's called drag items here to hide them. So if I didn't want my students to see things like badges, all I'd have to do is click and drag it underneath that text, click save, and then not only will it update in this list, but on the left-hand side, it will now hide badges from the students if you didn't want them to see that. So one of the things I really like to do, especially right now, is I'm going to set up kind of a navigation of what I think is the best way. There's lots of different ways, but for me personally, I like to put my modules at the top. I include a syllabus in there as well. And then I like to keep discussions for my class, and then grades. And since all this new excitement going on, we're going to use WebEx in here as well and put that under grades. But the rest of this stuff, you're welcome to use and keep it available for students. I, however, like to drag them below here. I know some English teachers have mentioned that they really enjoy Class Notebook, so I might leave that in there as well. So once you're done kind of dragging all these items down here, and I'll do like super turbo mode, you guys can time me on my dragging skills here. So if I drag all these items below, what I can do at the very end is notice this kind of nice little tight spot up here with just a few links. If I hit save, it's now going to adjust that on the left-hand side. And if you remember from the beginning of class when I started talking about student view, well, you can also access the student view inside of this panel as well. So again, we went to settings and we went to navigation, but over here on the right-hand side, you'll notice it says student view. So if I click that icon, it's going to put me in student view. So this is what my students would see when they first log into my class. You can see that left-hand side is now nice and cleaned up, and there's only the links that I really want them to see. I have my home page set so that they'll start on modules here, and they can see the first assignment and the first page in this section. Now, something to know, to get out of student view, in the bottom right, you can see it says leave student view. So I'm going to go ahead and click that button. You can also like turn in quizzes and assignments to see what it would look like for students. And then if you do that, you can reset that student with this button down here so you can try it again if it's not exactly how you'd like. So I'm going to leave student view. And we're going to kind of jump into the last part here and talk about quizzes before we wrap up. So the last part here, underneath my module I've created, I'm going to click the plus sign again. I'm going to add a quiz. And I'm going to need to make a new quiz. So here you can see you can add a name. And then if there's grouping that you want to make sure you follow, you can do that as well in this section. I'm going to go ahead and hit add item. You can see my quiz is generated down here. It's got a little rocket ship for its icon, so you can tell it's different from the other ones. I'm going to click on the best quiz, which is still debatable. We'll see. Inside of the quiz, you can see this is the quiz interface. To add questions and get started editing the quiz, we're going to click edit in the top right. First thing we're going to take note, again, the rich content editor shows up here. These are the quiz instructions, and they will not be posted for each question. They'll just be sitting at the top for students to kind of use as a guideline. So depending on the quiz instructions that you need to give them, you can use that box here at the top. And we're going to go through setting up the quiz options first before we go into question generation. So the first thing we're going to take a look at is the quiz type. You can actually make these into surveys as well. So if you wanted to simply just do an ungraded survey with your students, you could select that from the list here. But we're just going to stick with graded quiz for right now. That assignment group that I talked about earlier. And then here's the options that you have for creating a quiz. A lot of teachers really like to shuffle answers, especially if they're giving their students a quiz in class. And I think I like that as well. So I often just simply click shuffle answers no matter what quiz I'm generating. You can see you can allow multiple attempts by clicking this icon and choosing what you'd like to do. You can have a time limit here as well. You can also include how they see their answers and what happens after each attempt for the quiz if you choose to set it up that way. Now towards the bottom, you can see down here, there's a request and access code. So like if we were in class, what I might do is write the access code up on the board and then lock this quiz this way so that students wouldn't be able to take the Canvas quiz at their house, and then they'd have to input the access code this way. So there's lots of ways to lock down a quiz. This is just one of them. I have never used the IP filtering, but I would strongly suggest you ignore it because there's a lot of extra work that goes into using that filtering option. So if you're going to use one, I would suggest either using this, or at the bottom you can set the available dates from. So the certain times the quiz will be available for is an option to do as well. So just like the assignment, just like the assignment, the quiz has an assigned section. What we're going to do now is take a look at actually building a question. And I know I'm coming up on about a minute here. We got started a little bit late, so I'll just keep you guys a minute or two after if that's all right. So in order to finish up my details, you can see I've got my name of the quiz, some information here. I've gone through and I've assigned the information that I want throughout the quiz here for the details. Now I'm going to go up to the very top again, and I'm going to click on the Questions tab. This is where I'll start generating my questions. If you'd like to start a single question, you can select this button here. We're going to start there actually. The next one is the quiz groups, which we're going to hit. And then finding questions if you actually have some created in like a question bank, or if someone gives you a group of questions. So I'm going to make a single question here with new question. You can title the question here at the top. And in this section here with the drop-down box, you can choose what kind of question you'd like it to be. For this demonstration, we're just going to stick with multiple choice because it's easy for me and I'm a simple guy. However, you can move through any of these if you do decide maybe an essay question is best for you, or simply just using true and false. So multiple choice, we're going to type in which snack is the best, the ultimate question everyone asks. Then underneath answers, this is where you type in your answers. So I'm going to choose cake here, if I can spell it right, jeez. I'm going to choose candy as another option. I'm going to choose hot dogs. And lastly, salad. So now I have those 4 possible answers. You can add more than just 4 by clicking this icon down here in the bottom right. You can also add comments to when students choose a specific question. So I know that everybody right now is interested in seeing this bit here. So underneath the possible choice for candy, you could write a comment if the students chose that. And hit done. So it'll provide a comment. Now, if let's say cake is maybe not the correct answer for this question, In order to change the correct answer, on the left-hand side, all you need to do is hover your mouse over this green arrow and click it so that it's filled in. And now you can see I've changed the correct answer from cake to salad down here at the bottom, because that is the correct answer. It's my favorite. One important thing to point out, however, is down here at the very bottom. Once you've gone through all this work to create your question, it's very important to hit update question. Sometimes you can get going and start making new questions and forget to hit update question. So once I hit update question, it's going to save everything that I created. Now, not only have I created this, but we're going to move over here. And I think I forgot to, I think I missed one thing, and I apologize. In the top right, there's a point section inside of your question building. So once you make your name and the actual question itself, the points you can assign are up here in the top right. So I apologize for missing that. Then you go through and set up your answers and hit update question. And you can see now the points that the question is worth is reflected in the top right. So the last thing I'm going to show you in this little section here is I'm going to make a question group, and these are actually pretty useful. So I'm going to click new question group. For the sake of time, I'm going to call it group 1. And in here, I'm going to say, I want Canvas to pick one question out of this question group, and I want to make it worth 1 point. Now, if you had, like, let's say 10 questions inside of a question group, many of you have built tests before. So if I had 10 questions, I could say pick 5. And now inside of this question group, when Canvas generates my test, it'll pick 5 questions out of this question group that might have 10 inside of it. And those will be shown inside of different inside of different student quizzes. So it kind of generates those unique quizzes so students can't just sit there next to each other and run through it all at the same time. Now, in order to get questions inside of your question group, you can do it in 2 ways. You can hit the plus sign and add a new question, just like everything else in Canvas. Or if you've already created a question like I did here at the top, you can simply drag it and drop it inside of the question group. And now that question group only has 1 question. But if I were to make multiple questions, then it would start applying that pick question option. All right. So last but not least, we're all finished with kind of setting up our quiz here. I'm going to hit save and publish to save and publish my quiz. Now I've got my quiz created. I'm going to come back to the top left to go back to my modules page. And you can see my quiz is now published inside of my section here with that little checkbox. Now, before I let everybody go, we have a chance for Q&A. Something that's really important to note is when you create your Canvas course for the first time, you may experience something like this where all of your assignments and things that you've created are not published. It's important before you decide to contact your students and say that everything's live, just check not only in your modules that you've created a module, and inside of that module there's assignments and pages and things, but that those are also published, and you can check that with the green dot. And back at the home page, it's important to publish a course as well. This is the one thing we see teachers miss quite often, which is not a big issue. We can simply publish it, but you want to make sure your module is published, the assignments, quizzes, and pages are all published, and that you've checked this box at the top right so that it publishes your course as well. So that way students now have complete access to the items you've created. So publish a course, publish your modules, and publish the assignments, pages, and quizzes. So it is 1:37, so I appreciate everyone hanging around with me. If you got something out of this, I'm so excited that you hopefully enjoyed it. If you have questions, we're going to be around here for a couple of minutes just to kind of answer them for you. But also feel free, if you have to go somewhere, have a burning question but don't have time, you can email myself or any of the other OIDCs, and I know we'd be happy to help you. So I really appreciate everybody coming today. We still are recording, so if you'd like, I think I can stop the recording now, and then I may come back and all of our answers, we can go from there. So that's my first recording. Hopefully it